Everything begins with a girl named Marianne waiting for her parents. Later, they arrive and show the girl that she has a new brother named Shion. Then, we jump 3 years ahead where the children are playing in their yard. Their father arrives and they go to greet him. Their father praises Shion because he is very mature for being only 3 years old. But Marianne says she has been investigating Shion and claims he is not that mature because she has seen him playing pretend as if he had magic. That night, everyone is having dinner, and Shion asks his father if monsters exist. His father tells him that they do, and that is why they cannot leave the house. Shion then asks if fairies and spirits also exist, to which his father responds affirmatively. So now, Shion is ready to ask the next question. Does magic exist? His father replies that he believes magic does not exist, and that if it did, almost no one knows about it. Marianne says that from that day on, Shion was never the same. He never spoke about magic again. 3 years later, Marianne is training and then goes to speak with Shion, who asks why she trains so much. She explains that it is in case a monster appears, and also to protect him because she is the older sister. At sunset, she continues training, but this time, she is accompanied by a friend named Rose, who tells her she is surprised that she doesn't get bored doing the same thing all day. Marianne thinks about how her brother spends the entire day studying because he wants to learn magic. The next day, Marianne takes Shion to the lake where she was the day before, and just before nightfall, a light spectacle appears. She brought him there to see it and tells Shion that she once brought their parents, but they couldn't see the lights, which she found strange. Marianne tells him she brought him there to make him feel better because ever since their father told him that magic didn't exist 3 years ago, he has been sad. Shion begins to cry and then thanks his sister. The following day, the children go early to the lake, but since Shion never exercises, he gets tired quickly. That day, they decide to investigate where the lights in the lake come from. They take 3 buckets of lake water, one with stones, another with leaves, and the last one empty. Then, they try fishing while talking about how they wish magic were real. Marianne catches a fish and puts it in the empty bucket. Suddenly, Rose arrives, and they explain what they are trying to do. Rose says she also came today to see the lights coming from the lake. At sunset, the lake releases the lights again, and they notice that the 3 buckets of water do not release the lights, so they think there might be another creature in the lake. Shion decides to enter the lake, and then Marianne joins him. Shion grabs one of the lights and says it feels warm. He continues to think it must be an animal releasing the lights. Rose catches a female trout and places it in one of the buckets. Suddenly, the lights begin to appear. Shion concludes that the lights are released by male trout to court the females. After this, Marianne comes up with the idea of telling their parents that she wants to marry Shion, for which they scold her. To comfort her, Shion hugs her and tells her he will never leave her alone. Suddenly, magic begins to emerge from both of them, and Shion thinks he has absorbed the power of the lights within himself. This entire experience makes Shion realize that magic truly exists. Later, we see a boy waiting for a few seconds to turn 30 years old, saying that men who reach 30 as virgins become wizards. When he turns 30, he tries to use magic, but nothing happens. Since nothing happens, he tries to summon magical creatures, but again, nothing happens. He feels sad, thinking that magic doesn't exist. However, at that moment, he has a heart attack and apparently dies. It turns out this boy became the protagonist. While he is in his room, he explains that since he was born in this world, he started studying magic again from a young age, hoping to find it. Although he had a rather interesting experience with his sister, he is still unable to use magic. Suddenly, his sister enters the room, and he asks her to sit beside him. When she sits, he confesses that he loves her. As he does this, his magical power is released, making him realize that confessing his love to his adoptive sister causes magic to manifest around him. However, his sister gets angry, thinking he lied about loving her just to use his powers. He insists that he truly loves her, which makes her feel quite happy. He then tells her that his powers are released when he confesses his feelings, but there must be another way. So, he tries to simply feel what he feels when thinking about loving his stepsister, and suddenly, this also unleashes magic. Now he is more confident that magic really exists, and he is so happy that he can hardly believe it. His stepsister says she has never seen him this happy before, and it makes her happy too. A month later, he tells us that he continues training with his magic and has realized that it activates with any strong emotion, but the number of times he can use it daily is limited. He also discovered that if he pushes his magic to the limit and reaches a super saiyan state, his magic will increase even more the next time. Additionally, he found out that the magic state is not visible to those without magical aptitude. He tries concentrating his magic on his right arm, but it's impossible. Later, when he tries again, his hand starts glowing, and he can't believe it. He thinks that maybe now he can punch harder, but no, his hand is still just as weak. So he questions whether it's just glowing lights without any real effect. Still, he feels happy since he is gaining more control over his powers and spends the day training. The next day, his father starts training the three kids in the art of swordsmanship. He warns them to be very careful because people can die even from wooden swords. However, Shion tells his father that he is not interested in fighting and has no interest in swordsmanship. His father responds that fighting isn't just against people, but also against monsters. His sister encourages him to learn swordsmanship together with her. Later, Shion is so bad at swordsmanship that his father tells him he might as well give up, while Rouse is very skilled, and their father says she will be a great swordswoman. Suddenly, it's Marie's turn, and she turns out to be quite skilled, although their father defeats her. He tells Marie that she will also become a great swordswoman. Later, Shion's father suggests they take a walk to a nearby city called Historia. Shion explains that Historia is a walled city east of where they live. We see the whole family arriving at the city together. After some time, they visit the blacksmith, where there are several interesting weapons. The blacksmith says the girl's sword is ready, and Marie is surprised because she didn't know her father had paid to have a sword made for her. Now, she has her own sword. As they leave the city, Marie tells Shion that she feels bad for him because their parents didn't buy him anything. He reassures her that the sword was her birthday gift and not to worry. Suddenly, Shion notices a store and asks his father to stop so he can check it out. However, his father refuses, saying he doesn't need to know what they sell there. But Shion saw a fairy waving at him, meaning they sell fairies there. If you made it to this part of this video, comment the word Anigoat, subscribe, and remember, I upload 3 videos daily. I'll be waiting for you in all 3.